Guilty. The word does not echo, it lands. It falls into the heavy air of the courtroom like a stone dropped down a bottomless shaft. The wooden gavel comes down. Crack. One sharp report, like a lone gunshot fired in a cathedral that has forgotten what prayer sounds like. Sergeant Varin stands at the center of the chamber. He does not flinch. He does not blink. Violet eyes, the unmistakable mark of Cadian blood, are locked on the imperial aquila carved into the stone wall behind the judges. His uniform is immaculate, boots polished, coat pressed, not a thread out of place. Seen from a distance, he could be mistaken for one of Cadia's granite statues, an ideal soldier carved from fortress rock and ritual expectation. Up close, the illusion breaks. His hands betray him. They hang at his sides, fingers straight, knuckles bloodless, trembling with a tiny insect-fast vibration, as if some unseen current runs through the bones. The Lord Commissar adjusts his cap. The shadow of the black brim crawls lower over his scarred face, swallowing his eyes in darkness and leaving only the hard line of his jaw. Leather gloves creak as he folds his hands. Sergeant Varin. The Commissar's voice is dry, like sand dragging across old bone. You have been found guilty of incompetence in the face of the enemy. The words are flat, procedural. He lets the silence breathe. You have been found guilty of waste of imperial resources. Another pause, longer this time. And worst of all, the leather on his gloves tightens. You have been found guilty of compassion. The final word lingers like a curse best not spoken in daylight. PN Imperium, mercy is not a virtue. It is a malfunction. The sentence is not death, the Commissar continues. Death is a release you have not earned. A faint ripple runs through the watching ranks of guardsmen at that. Your rank is revoked. Your name is struck from the rolls of the Cadian 8th. From this moment, you are a ghost. The word lands heavier than the rest. You will be remanded to Penal Legion 109. A hiss of breath passes through the little crowd of officers and aides. The Penal Legion. 606. The last chances. Dead men walking, whose only promotion is from alive to spent. Varin closes his eyes. He draws a long, slow breath through his nose, like a man about to steady his aim. He holds it until his chest burns, then lets it seep out between clenched teeth. He knows exactly what this means. He is not going to die a hero. He is going to die as inventory. On Cadia, you do not break. Cadia breaks you. And Varin had broken the only rule that truly mattered. He had tried to save lives. Chapter 1. The Perfect Soldier. To understand the sin, one must understand the sinner. Varin was not simply a soldier. He was Cadian. There is an old saying in the Astra Militarum, if you want a wall destroyed, call the Kriegers. If you want a jungle burned, call the Catachans. But if you want to hold the line until the stars themselves burn out, you call Cadia. Varin was born in the shadow of a black, impossible structure, a pylon that stabbed into the sky and hummed with an ancient power no one dared to name. The first lullaby he remembers is the distant thump of artillery drills rolling through Ferrocrete streets. He learned to field strip a laser gun before he learned to properly write his own name. By 10, he could hit a target the size of a coin at 300 meters. By 16, he had killed his first heretic and learned the lesson every Cadian child is eventually taught. Hesitation is more dangerous than any demon. Discipline, duty, unquestioning obedience. These were not words to Varin. They were the gravity he grew up in. Rising through the ranks was never a miracle. It was arithmetic. He shot straighter, thought faster, moved sooner. He became a sergeant in the Cadian 8th, the Castellan's own, a regiment spoken of with a mix of fear and reverence in mess halls across 100 systems. His squad adored him, but not for kindness. Kindness is how you die early. They revered him because he was efficient. Varin saw war as an equation. Input, firepower. Output, dead enemies. Variables, cover, morale, ammunition, time. He solved these problems faster than a cogitator. "Check your corners," he would bark, voice cutting through the scream of artillery and lasgun whine. "Conserve ammo. Short, controlled bursts. Do not fire until you see the glow of their eyes." Under his command, casualties were low. Objectives were taken. Enemies were broken. They started to call him Iron Varin. They joked that he slept at attention, boots on, rifle within arm's reach. They joked that promethium flowed in his veins instead of blood. But machines have no ghosts. Varin did. A hairline fracture ran through the iron, barely visible but there. Varin remembered faces. Most commanders saw numbers. Unit 4, Squad 2, 10 men combat effective. Replacements requisitioned, casualties logged, boxes ticked. Varin saw troopers, PCI, who wrote awkward letters to a mother on some distant agri-world, letters stained with recycled ink and hope. He saw Kale, who played a battered harmonica on quiet nights, coaxing rusty notes from rusted metal. He saw Mira, saving every ration chit she could for a prosthetic leg for the father the guard took from her. He remembered them. He carried them like extra weight in his armor. In the Imperial Guard, memory is a luxury, and luxuries get stripped away. The Imperium spans 1,000,000 worlds. It commands uncountable billions of soldiers. Life is the cheapest currency it has. A lasgun power pack is more valuable than the trooper who holds it. Intellectually, Varin understood. He had repeated the catechisms. He had nodded when the commissars explained the arithmetic of sacrifice. But somewhere beneath the crust of indoctrination and drill, a stubborn fragment of him refused to let go. He wanted his squad to win. He also wanted them to live. That desire was a delayed detonation charge buried deep in his soul. At Hive Tercius, the timer finally reached 0. Chapter 2. Hive Tercius. The Choice. The mission was stamped as routine. The file said, "Reconnaissance in force. Secure the Manufactorum district. Root out a suspected cult uprising. Standard work. Kick down doors. Purge corruption. Move on." Reality, as usual, had other plans. Varin's platoon advanced through the rusted ribs of the Hive city. The air tasted of sulfur and old blood. Fog clawed around their boots, thick and oily, moving as if it had thoughts of its own. "Keep spacing," Varin voxed, voice low. "Something's off." The only answer was the crunch of boots and the faint click of safety catches being thumbed off. The silence that followed was not empty. It was coiled, waiting. The trap snapped shut. Heavy stubbers roared from gantries above, fat shells tearing chunks from ferrocrete cover. Autogun fire erupted from shadowed windows and maintenance tunnels. "Contact, front and right," someone screamed. Las fire lanced back, red bolts cutting fissures in the fog. Screams bled into the Vox net. Varin dropped behind a half-collapsed barricade and started doing what he always did, the math. Enemy strength, heavier than intel suggested. Positions, elevated, crossfires, overlapping kill zones. Outcome, challenging, but winnable. "First squad, suppressing fire on that gantry," he snapped. "Second, flank left, move or die in place." Orders snapped out and were obeyed. His men moved with Cadian precision, bodies low, bursts controlled. For a moment, the chaos resolved into something familiar, a problem he knew how to solve. Then the Vox screamed. "Command, this is White Shield Platoon 4. We are pinned in the lower plaza. Multiple hostiles. Emperor, they're everywhere. We have heavy casualties. Repeat, we are pinned. The transmission dissolved into static and a wet, gurgling noise Varin had heard too many times. White shields, conscripts, children in flak armor. Varin's retinal display flickered as he pulled up the tactical overlay. Green icons blinked in a small courtyard to the east, surrounded on 3 sides by elevated positions, perfect for a kill box. His orders were explicit. Primary objective: secure the Manufactorum complex. White Shield detachment, designated distraction element, tasked with drawing fire. Expendable. "Sergeant," his Vox operator shouted over the din. "Command says ignore the distress call. We're to press the attack. The White Shields they're already written off." The words hit harder than any bolter round. Varin looked at the pulsing icon of the Manufactorum, industrial heart of the sector, factory of last-packs and promethium canisters. He looked toward the lower plaza, though he could not see it through the ruins. He could imagine it too easily. Wide open, flanked by hab blocks, White Shields huddled around improvised cover that was already being eaten away by gunfire. He could hear them even without the Vox. High-pitched screams, voices that had not yet deepened, cracking on prayers. The equation formed in his mind. Option A, obey. Advance on the Manufactorum, secure the objective. Cost: 50 White Shields left to be chewed apart. Option B, divert. Move to support the plaza. Attempt rescue. Cost: loss of initiative, probable fortification of Manufactorum, mission failure risk. Every catechism, every drill sermon, every commissarial speech he had ever heard demanded option A. A good Cadian officer does not hesitate. Varin hesitated. 1 second. 2. Too long. In that heartbeat of stillness, faces rose unbidden. Jensen, grinning as he folded another letter home. Kale, head bowed over his harmonica. Mira, eyes hard with determination as she counted her saved chits. And beside them, faces he did not know yet. White Shield boys and girls, helmets too big, rifles too heavy, minds still capable of dreaming about a future beyond the trench. The fracture inside him widened. "Belay that order," Varin growled. The Vox operator's head snapped toward him, eyes wide behind his visor. "Sergeant? We're diverting." He ripped a fresh power pack from his harness and slammed it into his bolt pistol. "Squads 1 and 2, form on me. 3, cover our rear. We're getting those kids out." "But the objective, sir. Command will—" "I said move, trooper." They moved. There is a moment in every battle where the tide forgets which way it is supposed to flow. Varin turned the current with sheer force of will and Cadian training. They hit the lower plaza like a hammer. Last fire stitched burning lines across the upper windows. Grenades arced out, turning firing points into clouds of brick dust and red mist. Varin led at the front, chainsword roaring a wet, hungry song. He cut down cultists in ragged robes and rusted armor, their faces painted with symbols that hurt the eyes to look at for too long. "Get them up! Move them!" he shouted, seizing a White Shield by the collar and hurling the trembling boy toward the relative safety of a side alley. In the end, they broke the kill box. They pulled 32 White Shields out of that hell. 32. The Manufactorum, in the meantime, slipped away. Enemy forces fell back and dug in. By the time higher commands smashed their way in 3 weeks later, the building was a tomb that had eaten 200 more guardsmen. Varin had saved 32 lives, and in the ledger of the Imperium, he had spent 200 others to do it. When the guns finally fell quiet at Hive Tercius, there were no medals waiting. There was a Commissar standing at the ramp of a Valkyrie, bolt pistol holstered, expression cold. He did not look at the limping White Shields Varin had hauled back from the jaws of death. He only looked at Varin. "You think you are a hero, Sergeant," the Commissar said softly. Varin was splashed in blood and mud, armor cracked, chest heaving. "I saved them, sir," he answered. "They're Cadians. We don't leave our own behind." The Commissar shook his head with slow, almost weary contempt. "You spent gold to save copper, and now you will pay the debt." Varin did not know it then, but that was the moment he died. Everything after, Courtrooms, speeches, paperwork would only be the echo. Chapter 3. The Silence of Brothers. The worst thing in the barracks that night is not the guns stacked in the corners or the smell of oil and sweat. It is the silence. 60 men share the long, steel-boned room. Normally it hums. There is always noise, the clack of armor being maintained, dice rattling in cups, low-voiced arguments over cards and grudges, half-whispered prayers to the god emperor. Tonight, the air is as still as the dead. Varin sits on the edge of his bunk. His locker stands open, its contents folded with parade ground precision. He picks up a brush and begins polishing his boots. Left boot, wax on, wax off, small circles, careful pressure. Right boot, the same ritual. The repetition keeps his hands from shaking. Around him, men move as if separated from him by invisible armor glass. Eyes slide away when he shifts. Voices die whenever he comes too close. Technically, he is not yet excommunicate. Officially, he is still Sergeant Varin of the Cadian 8th, awaiting Tribunal. Unofficially, he is a leper. The door hisses open. The temperature in the room seems to drop. Every guardsman snaps to attention as if yanked up by invisible chains. 60 pairs of boots slam into the deck in unison. Varin remains seated, not from defiance, but because he knows there is only one person the newcomer has come to see. Lord Commissar Valerius walks down the center aisle like a slow-moving execution. His greatcoat sweeps the floor like a black wing. The iron heels of his boots strike the grating in a metronome of doom. Click, click, click. He stops in front of Varin's bunk. "Stand," Valerius whispers. The word is quiet, but it contains no room for disobedience. Varin stands. He is taller than the Commissar, broader across the shoulders, but in this moment, he feels like a child dragged before a storm. "Do you know why I am here, Sergeant?" Valerius asks. His voice is soft, and that softness is the blade. "To arrest me, sir." "No." Valerius circles him slowly, a predator measuring distance. He plucks a speck of lint from Varin's shoulder with a fastidious gesture. "If I wished you arrested, I would have sent enforcers. If I wished you dead, I would have shot you in the mud at Hive Tercius." He leans in. Varin smells worn leather and gun oil and something like old incense. "I am here to understand," Valerius says. "I have reviewed your combat logs, 10 years of service, 3 commendations for valor, a model Cadian. You were..." The Commissar's bionic eye whirs as it focuses on Varin's pupil. "Perfect." "Why?" Valerius asks. "Why throw all that away for 30 frightened children?" "They were citizens of the Imperium," Varin replies. "It is our duty to protect them." Valerius laughs. The sound is wrong, dry, hacking, devoid of mirth. "Protect them? You think you saved them?" He produces a data slate from inside his coat and taps it to life. Scrolling lines of text glow green against the gloom. "The 32 conscripts you rescued," he reads. "They were reassigned this morning to 4th Platoon. Deployed to the southern trench line." Varin's heart stutters. He knows that sector, knows the map by instinct. "A stray artillery shell struck their bunker 2 hours ago," Valerius continues. His voice is now completely emotionless, like a cogitator reciting figures. "They are all dead, Varin. Every single one." The barracks seems to shrink around Varin. He stares without seeing. He remembers the plaza, the screams, the hot weight of a white shield thrown over his shoulder. He remembers the feeling, brief, flickering, that he had done something right. "This is the lesson," Valerius whispers, shutting the slate off. "You traded a strategic asset, the factory, for nothing. You spent blood for air. In your arrogance, you thought you could cheat the arithmetic of war." The Commissar turns his back, cloak whispering across the floor. "The tribunal is at dawn," he says. "Sleep well, Sergeant. It will be the last time you sleep as a free man." He walks away. The door hisses shut behind him. The silence returns. This time it weighs even more. Varin sits back down. He stares at his boots, perfectly polished, mirrored surfaces warping his reflection into something stranger and more hollow. Somewhere inside, something that once believed in balance, in justice, in meaning, curls up and dies quietly. Chapter 4. The Tribunal. The Cadian sun does not shine. It glowers through smog and dust like an eye full of old rage. The tribunal is held in the open, on the packed dirt of the assembly ground. A table, 3 judges, a vox-amped lectern. Around them, 1,000 soldiers stand in formation, witness to the ritual of public shaming. Public punishment is tradition here. It reminds everyone where the lines are, and what happens to those who step outside. Varin stands in a worn circle of earth. The weight of absence is heavy at his hip. No las pistol, no sword, no symbol of authority. Colonel Heck presides. He is a giant of a man, broad and scarred, one arm replaced by a crackling power claw taken from an orc corpse years ago and rebuilt in Cadian forges. "State your defense," Heck rumbles. Varin looks out over the ocean of faces. He spots his old squad. Their eyes are downcast. "I acted to preserve the future of the regiment," Varin says. His voice carries over the vox, steady despite the hollow in his chest. "The White Shields are our next generation. If we treat them as disposable, we lose our humanity. We become no better than the Necrons. We become machines." The murmurs that follow are dangerous, soft, thoughtful, seeds if left to grow. Commissar Valerius steps forward. He does not shout. He simply speaks, and the amplifiers carry his words like a sermon. "Humanity?" he asks. "The prisoner speaks of humanity." He points a gloved hand at Varin. "Let us speak of humanity in the language of numbers." He lifts a data slate. The factory Sergeant Varin failed to secure produced las packs, standard issue power cells. Because we failed to capture it on the first day, production halted for 3 weeks. He turns to the judges. In that time, based on documented output, it would have produced 50,000 power packs, enough ammunition to keep 5 regiments fighting. A low sound passes through the crowd. Because of that shortage, Valerius continues, the 12th Corps ran dry in the ash wastes. They had nothing to fire when the enemy attacked. 1,000 guardsmen died screaming with empty guns. The numbers hang in the air like chains. "You speak of saving 30 lives, Valerius says, voice sharpening, but your mercy killed 1,000 brothers. Your humanity is not virtue, it is weakness. In the 41st millennium there is no room for soft hearts, only hard choices and harder men to make them." "I did what I thought was right," Varin shouts, the first crack in his composure. "Being right is irrelevant," Valerius roars back. "Only victory is relevant. Only survival is relevant. You are Cadian. You were born to hold the line. And you," he lets the words drop like stones, "stepped back." The verdict is inevitable. Colonel Heck rises, metal claws flexing with a hiss of caged lightning. "Sergeant Varin," he pronounces, "you have failed the Emperor. You have failed Cadia. You have failed your brothers." He glances down at the parchment before him, though his mind has already decided. "Execution would be a mercy," he says, "and you do not deserve mercy. You deserve to be useful." He slams his power claw down, stamping the document with brutal finality. "Sentence: Penal Legion. Indefinite service. Take him away." Hands seize Varin's arms. As they drag him from the circle, he catches one last glimpse of his squad. No one meets his eyes.
Chapter 5.
Stripped of honor. They do not take him to a cell. Cells are for men whose stories might continue. They take him to the armory. 2 military police hold his arms in a grip designed to bruise but not break. They are faceless in black carapace, eyes hidden behind visor suits, as if the Emperor himself refuses to let Varin see the faces of those who will unmake him. They force him to his knees in a circle of harsh lumen light. A logistics officer stands before him, data slate in one hand, a small, wicked-looking knife in the other. "Helmet," the officer says. One MP yanks the helmet from Varin's head. For 10 years, that shell of plasteel and ceramite has framed his world. The sudden sense of weightlessness is almost nauseating. The helmet goes into a scrap bin with a dull clang. "Flak armor, chest," the officer continues. Buckles are torn loose. Straps scrape raw lines into his shoulders as the armor is ripped away. The plates that turned aside shrapnel and las fire for a decade land on a heap of discarded protection. Rank insignia. This is where it hurts. The sergeant's chevrons are sewn into his tunic. The MP does not bother with a seam ripper. He drags the combat knife down the cloth, carving the stripes out in jagged tears. Cold steel kisses the skin of Varin's neck, just shy of drawing blood. Fabric flutters to the floor in limp strips. Regimental patches. The 8th Cadian badge. The Gate of Cadia symbol. Everything he has ever been proud to wear, everything he bled to earn, is reduced to a sound. Rip. Loud as a gunshot in the small chamber. When they are done, Varin is left in sweat-darkened undershirt and trousers. He shivers, not from cold, but from the sudden absence of weight and meaning. "Final step," the officer says. "Identification." On Varin's right forearm is a tattoo, a barcode, the Imperial Aquila, his service number, proof that he exists in the Emperor's records as more than dust. The officer lifts a branding iron from a small furnace. Its tip glows a deep, hungry red. The air around it wavers in trembling heat. "Hold him," the officer orders. The MPs slam Varin's arm against a metal table. He grits his teeth. He makes himself a promise. He will not scream. The iron descends. Sizzle. The smell of burning meat fills his nose, thick and choking. White pain explodes up his arm, racing down his nerves, clawing at his spine. His jaw locks so hard he hears something crack. A sound leaks from him anyway, low and animal and helpless. When the iron lifts, the tattoo is gone. In its place is a swollen, raw brand forming a single word: Penal. The logistics officer wipes the iron and sets it aside. He looks at Varin with polite emptiness. "You are no longer Varin," he says. "You are Trooper 734 Delta. Get up." Varin tries to stand. His legs quiver. He staggers like a drunk reaching for a memory. "Move, Delta," one MP snarls, shoving him toward the door. "The transport is waiting." Varin glances back once. In the scrap bin lie his helmet, his armor, his badges, all in a pathetic heap. 10 years of identity reduced to trash metal and torn cloth. Outside, the wind howls along the corridors of the fortress. To Varin's ears, it sounds like laughter. Not the laughter of men. The thin, delighted chuckle of distant, dark gods. Chapter 6. Meat for the front. The transport shuttle reeks of vomit, sweat, old blood, and the sour tang of fear too long steeped in metal. Trooper 734 Delta, formerly Sergeant Varin, sits strapped into a rusted restraint chair. Around him, humanity scraped from the bottom of the galaxy's barrel. Hive gangers with filed teeth and gang symbols burned into their flesh. Thieves who stole rations instead of lives. Heretics who spoke the wrong name in the wrong shrine. Men and women whose sins range from petty to unforgivable. All leveled into the same category by the brass. Expendable. They are not soldiers. They are ammunition with lungs. "Listen up, meat!" The voice that booms through the shuttle's speakers belongs to the warden. It carries a practiced cheerfulness, like a carnival barker selling execution dates. "You are the damned," the warden says. "The Emperor has turned his face from you, but he is generous. He offers you a chance to buy back your souls." A metal collar sits cold and tight around Varin's neck. He can feel it hum faintly against his pulse. "The collars you wear are fitted with high explosive charges," the warden explains. "If you retreat, they detonate. If you disobey, they detonate. If you try to remove them," a chuckle fuzzes through the vox. "Well, you get the idea." Somewhere to Varin's left, someone begins to sob quietly. Somewhere to his right, someone laughs too loudly. The shuttle shudders, the deck shivering beneath his boots. Atmospheric entry. The hull around them screams softly as friction licks its skin. Their destination flickers on a cracked holoscreen near the front. A toxic moon wreathed in unnatural storms, overrun by chaos cultists. Another nameless rock in a war without proper nouns. "Look at him," a voice sneers. Varin turns his head just enough. The speaker is a huge brute of a man, muscles knotted under tattooed skin, teeth filed to predatory points. Necromunda, Varin guesses by the accent and the scars. "Still sitting at attention," the brute laughs. Back teeth flash. "Think you're still guard, corpse lover?" Varin says nothing. His back is straight, his hands still, his gaze fixed on a scuffed patch of metal on the far wall. "I'm talking to you," the ganger growls, leaning close enough that Darren feels flecks of spit on his cheek. "You think you're better than us?" Varin turns his head slightly, just enough to let their eyes meet. His own are flat pools now. No fire, only depth. "Check your harness," Varin says quietly. "What?" "Your harness," Varin repeats. "The buckle on your left side is loose. When we hit the drop zone, deceleration will snap your spine." The brute blinks. A flicker of doubt crosses his face. He looks down, fumbling, at the webbing. The buckle is indeed loose. Hands that have stabbed and strangled tighten it quickly. The anger drains from his eyes, leaving something like wary respect in its place. Varin looks away again. He is not better than them anymore. The brand on his arm and the ring of cold metal around his throat say so. But he is still a soldier, and soldiers check their gear. The shuttle bucks hard as it kisses the ground. Straps bite into shoulders. The ramp slams down. Hot, poisoned air rushes in. It smells like rusted blood and burned prayers. "Go, go, go!" the warden screams in their ears. "Out of the ship or I blow the collars." Cannon detonates in the hold. Varin unbuckles with practiced motions and grabs a laser gun from the rack as he passes. The weapon is old, barrel pitted, spirit sluggish. The power pack register blinks half empty. It will have to do. He steps out into hell. Chapter 7. Into the Maw. The battlefield is a smear of mud, broken metal, and violence. Purple lightning claws at a sky choked with ash. Rivers of chemical runoff cut oily veins through the cratered ground. The Penal Legion pours from the shuttle ramps in a howling, disorganized flood. There is no formation, no discipline, just bodies driven forward by terror and the promise of explosive decapitation. "Blood for the blood god!" the enemy roars back from the trenches ahead. Cultists surge forward, faces carved and painted with sigils that hurt to look at. Their weapons are mismatched, chainswords dripping rust, axes studded with teeth, rifles adorned with flayed skin. Loss rounds streak out from the penal ranks, wild and wasteful. Most miss. Chaos answers with heavy stubber lines and roaring chain axes. Men die by the dozen in the first minute. "Retreat! Fall back!" someone howls. Boom! A headless body collapses into the mud, collar blooming a red-black flower. Shrapnel patters across nearby helmets. "Forward!" The warden's voice snarls through their earpieces. "Forward or die!" Varin throws himself into a shell crater as stubber fire chews the lip away. Mud splashes his face, cold and metallic with someone else's blood. He checks his weapon like he has done 1,000 times. Magazine, 100 shots. Charge level, low but serviceable. Sight, cracked but alignable. He looks up. The penal troops are breaking. Some drop their guns and curl into themselves, wailing. Others turn and try to run, only to explode in little blossoms of fire and bone as collars detonate. There is no spine here, no line. Something old and trained and furious pushes up inside Varin. He stands. "Form up on me!" he roars. His voice is not another criminal's scream. It is the bark of a Cadian sergeant on a live fire range. It slices through the chaos like a command tone hardwired into marrow. 3 men in a nearby crater look up, eyes wide, surprised to hear structure in the noise. "You!" Varin points at a thin man clutching a flamer and shaking hands. "Burn that bunker on the left! Move!" The man hesitates, then stumbles forward, driven by habit and fear. He climbs the crater's rim, squeezes the trigger, and vomits a sheet of burning promethium over a nest of screaming cultists. "You too!" Varin grabs the Necromunda brute and another convict by their harnesses, dragging them closer. "Suppression fire on that ridge! Keep their heads down!" "Why the void should we listen to you?" the brute yells, even as his finger twitches on the trigger. "Because I know how to win," Varin snaps. "Do you want to die like dogs or die like soldiers?" The question hangs there, raw and impossible. The brute bares his filed teeth. Then he turns and starts firing at the ridge with savage enthusiasm. Something shifts. In chaos, men crave order. Even traitors, thieves, and murderers. Varin moves. He does not think about it. He simply steps into the shape of the thing he used to be. "On me!" he shouts. "Advance by bounds! Cover and move! Cover and move!" He climbs out of the crater and starts walking toward the enemy trenches in a steady, relentless stride. His shots are measured and precise, each lasbolt a carefully placed solution. A handful of men follow, then a dozen, then more. The screaming mob begins to cohere. A line forms, ragged but real. They hit the first trench line like a hammer made of scrap metal in desperation. Varin drops into the trench, swinging his lasgun like a club. The butt smashes a cultist's jaw. Teeth and bones spray across the plasteel wall. A knife slides into his shoulder, hot and sharp. He barely feels it. "Clear the trench!" he bellows. "Grenades out!" They fight like cornered animals with a leader suddenly thrown among them. Sloppy, brutal, but focused. They push. One trench, then another. Bodies pile high, some still twitching, some already claimed by the filth. At the center of the enemy position squats the objective. An altar of black stone oozing an oil-slick sheen, etched with runes that seem to crawl when not watched. A tear in reality bleeds purple lightning and whispers. Warp rift. Gateway. Varin feels the hair on his arms rise. Static crawls across his teeth. "Charges," he snaps. "Get me melt-a-charges on that thing now." A former saboteur, Varin recognizes the way his fingers caress explosives, scrambles forward. They plant charges around the base of the altar. "Set and primed," the man shouts. "Back," Varin orders. "Fall back to the trench." They dive behind broken earth as the charges detonate. Vroom. The sound is not like normal explosives. It is a sucking noise, a roar pulled inward. The altar shatters in a scream of stone. The tear in the sky flickers, narrows, and snaps shut with a thunderclap that rattles teeth. The purple lightning dies. The air feels a fraction less wrong. Silence slams down. Varin lies on his back in the mud, chest heaving, shoulder burning, armor shredded. He looks up at a sky that is still sick, but no longer bleeding. He did it. Objective destroyed. Advance halted. For a fleeting moment, there is a flicker inside him that feels almost like the old days, the tight, fierce satisfaction of a mission accomplished. The warden's voice crackles in his ear, cutting through the moment. Unit 734 Delta, report. Varin taps his collar. Objective destroyed, he says, forcing his voice level. Sector secure. Acknowledged, the warden replies. Good work, Delta. The words land strangely, a commendation delivered like a weather report. Varin smiles anyway. It is a small, grim, bloody curl of the lips. He has proven something, to himself if to no one else. Honor can survive even when the Emperor burns your name. Requesting extraction, Varin says. We have wounded. We can hold until... There is a pause, longer than it needs to be. Negative, the warden says at last. The single word is colder than the wind. Say again, Varin replies, though he already knows. Extraction is for loyal citizens, the warden says, bored now. The Penal Legion is a one-way ticket. We do not waste fuel retrieving expended assets. Varin pushes himself up on one elbow. He looks around at the men who followed him, faces smeared with blood and soot, eyes watching him with a desperate, fragile hope. They understand. Even the stupidest among them can add this particular sum. Besides, the warden adds almost lazily, we are detecting a counterattack. A Chaos Dreadnought is approaching your position. You have 5 minutes. The ground vibrates under Varin's palms. A distant, rhythmic thunder rolls through the mud. Hold them off as long as you can, Delta. The Emperor is watching. The channel clicks dead. Varin lowers his hands slowly. The Necromunda brute limps over, one arm wrapped around his ribs. Others gather behind him. The flamer-wielding thief, the saboteur, a dozen other murderers and liars who, for a brief span of time, remembered how to be soldiers. What now, boss? The brute asks. The word lands strangely in Varin's chest. He checks his power pack. 3 shots left. He fixes a bayonet with hands that no longer shake. He stands. He straightens his ragged, blood-stiffened uniform. For a moment, in posture if not in insignia, he is a sergeant of the Cadian 8th again. Now, Varin says softly, now we do what Cadians do. He turns toward the approaching thunder. Metal strides, heavy and inexorable, loom nearer in the swirling mist. We hold the line. He draws breath. Cadia stands, Varin roars and charges into the grey. Cadia stands, the criminals scream back. They follow him, not for the Imperium, not for forgiveness, for the man who gave them, for one brief, defiant hour, the right to die like soldiers. The mist swallows them. The thunder grows. Then there is only the sound of war, and then, eventually, even that fades. Epilogue. A number in the ledger. In the high halls of command, far from the mud and the screaming sky of the toxic moon, a scribe sits at a desk surrounded by mountains of paper. Servo skulls flutter overhead like pale mechanical carrion birds, bearing scrolls and data slates. The scribe's quill scratches quietly. Report. Penal Operation 109 Beta, he mutters, scanning a freshly arrived slate. Objective achieved, he reads. Warp rift closed. Enemy advance halted for 12 minutes. He nods, more to himself than to anyone else. Efficient. Casualties? He asks. Total loss, A servo skull chirps through a tinny vox. Unit strength, 0. The scribe opens a massive leather-bound ledger, pages thick with names and numbers. He finds the line for Legion 109. In the column marked Survivors, he writes a single number, 0. He does not write the name Varin. He does not note that a condemned man rallied criminals into a functioning assault force. He does not mention a last stand against a walking engine of blasphemous war. History, as the Imperium keeps it, does not bother with the names of the damned. The scribe closes the ledger with a soft thud. Next file, he says. The camera of imagination pulls back. Shelves stretch away into dimness, each crammed with ledgers, each ledger bloated with lines of ink recording lives spent like ammunition. Millions of names, billions of dead. Out beyond those shelves, beyond the fortress worlds and hive cities and toxic moons, the galaxy burns on. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. And, somewhere just behind the noise of the guns, the distant, delighted laughter of thirsting gods.